Okay, good morning everybody. How are you today? I am hoping technology has caught up. I think I'm pushing my poor little device here to the max, trying to do these streams with a second camera and things like that. So I do hope this is working for you. This morning I am going to be doing some cheese making for you, or with you more so. Give us a bit of a thumbs up if you're watching today, because I'm just not sure it's actually working or not. So let me just, there we go. I just need to get that out of the screen, but it still looks frozen to me. So please give us a thumbs up if you are on today and watching, because at the moment it's not doing much for me. Oh, there we go. It's moving. Excellent. I think that means you guys can see me. So sorry about the premature broadcast where nothing happened before, and then now this one. Technology, but I think I've got some solutions coming up for that, which will be awesome. So, cheese making. I have been looking forward to doing this with you guys for a while. I just had to wait for some supplies to arrive. Now, today I'm going to be making halloumi. Now, those of you who have met me at a demonstration know that I have talked about halloumi before, because it's one of the first things, well, not first things, but one of the things we made down the track with our Thermomix, and it became such a regular in our household that, you know, we just didn't buy it. And it was something like, oh my gosh, who makes halloumi? Why would you make halloumi? But then once you make it, you never go back to buying it. So it's something I've talked about at demos before, that it was such an aha moment for us that you can actually do this stuff and feel really fulfilled in doing it without it costing you the earth, without it costing you time, and a little bit of fun along the way. And that's what it really is. So let me introduce you to making halloumi. And by the way, when I first made halloumi, it was in a TM31 where we had to follow a recipe book or a blog online and figure out what to do. So I love that the new TM6 has it integrated, it's guided, it tells me every step of the way what to do, sets the time, the temperature, and I just match the speed. It is so easy. Okay, start cooking. 2,000 grams, 2 litres, right, of milk. So in with my milk, and I love my scales. Integrated scales on a TM6 means that you can weigh, no measuring cups involved with the Thermomix. So in it goes up to the 2 litre mark. Well, or I could look at the scales. So it does have little dots up the back of your bowl. For those of you with a Thermomix, you would know you've got the little dots up the back, including a maximum line to tell you approximately where you're up to. It's really handy, those dots, for things like when you're steaming. So we reheat our food over steam or in the oven. We don't have a microwave anymore. We ditched that, replaced it with a big coffee machine instead, which sometimes you'll probably hear it in my videos because hubby will be out there coming in from morning tea and he'll be knocking out the, is that called a puck? I'm not sure. Anyway, he's out there making the coffee stuff and he's just dropped it in as I was playing with the technology trying to make it work. But so what we do for reheating, if I've got leftover mushroom risotto, we will put water in the bowl, put the varoma on top, put the mushroom risotto in my Pyrex dish or in my IKEA glass container in the top, put it on for normally 20 minutes, varoma, speed to, and by the time I come back, that's ready to go. My favourite to do though, reheating like that, is actually curries. I can put 2 litres of curry in a Pyrex dish in the varoma. I can put in the basket underneath, your simmering basket, your rice. So in 20 minutes, you've got your white rice cooked, or 35 if you're doing brown. So you've got then a full basket of rice, plus you've got your curry reheated. And often that's about a litre and a half of curry from the night before. So, and the other thing is there's always that space around the outside, so I put my greens around there. Just some random tips in a cheese making day. So, full cream milk, insert the lid. This is so easy. 10 minutes, 37 degrees, speed 1, off it goes. Now this 37 degrees is actually just taking the chill out of the milk, so that the cultures, when we put in the rennet, which is our next ingredient, it actually has a chance to do its job. So we could do a couple of things here. I'm actually going to click on my little full view and I'm going to get it to tell me what happens next, because I'm fairly confident. As I said, we're pretty familiar with this recipe, but we used to do it manually before we had a TM6 with it guided. So in here, the next step says to place junket tablets and 1 tablespoon of water. Now this is what I had to wait on, and I actually still couldn't get junket. So this is junket tablets. These are typically used for making, what's it say on the back? Custard and ice cream. So there you go. I've never used junket for custard or ice cream. Have you? Well, give us a comment if you have. What I have used it for is cheese making. So normally I would use 4 of these tablets to make this. Couldn't get junket? That's okay. What I could get is something called rennet. I think hubby bought it on eBay. It's from Mad Millie, which is a cheese making company. You can go do their courses. But of course, with the Thermomix, we don't have to. You'll find on your cookie or on your Cookie Do account for TM6 owners, you'll find feta, you will find halloumi, you will find paneer. And actually talking about paneer, the Indian cooking class you guys get to watch for those who've registered next week. You get to see paneer made. You can make ricotta. So all those things in your Thermomix. So we don't need to go to a special cheese making course because it's built into the Cookie Do, which is pretty amazing. So anyway, this tells you then on the back that one of these tablets would normally make 4 litres, depending on what you're making of milk. So I'm going to use one of these today, and it tells me that the next step says it needs to be dissolved in 1 tablespoon of water. So I've just got my water, okay, in my glass. I'm going to pop one of these in. So I'm not using 4 tablets because rennet is far more potent than junket. So you can see it's in there and it's dissolving as we speak. So I'll just grab a spoon. Now, a few little things you'll want for the halloumi making. You will want a thermoserver. So for those of you last month who purchased a Thermomix, you guys in the mail from Perth will be getting a 2.6 litre thermoserver. Hugely handy. The other thing you'll want later to push down your halloumi is you want your mini. This mini is a perfect size to fit in your simmering basket, which is what you're going to strain later on your halloumi with. And you'll need a nut milk bag. So you can get this from the Mix-It shop, Thermomix Mix-It shop. Please, on the checkout, pick me as your consultant so that I can track your order for you. But this will sit in my simmering basket later, and I will come on. So in an hour's time, when we do stage 2, I'll come back on and I'll show you how stage 2 looks. So I'm going to step you through every step of the way of how to make halloumi, because I'd love to see you guys make your own halloumi in your Thermomix. Because once you do it, it's like, oh my gosh, I made halloumi. It's just one of those game changers. So you want to have ready at the moment a 2.6 litre. For later on, you'll need your simmering basket, a nut milk bag, and your little mini. And 2 of these minis are available as a gift with purchase this month. So if you're buying a Thermomix in May, you've got the choice of 6 bottles of wine or 2 mini thermoservers and a vegetarian cookbook. The choice is yours. I would say minis are amazing. So I use them so much. Sauces, custards, gravies. What else? Oh, ricotta. Like when you make your ricotta and then you want to store it in something in the fridge. Anything like that. So it keeps things hot or cold. And when we once were doing swimming lessons and it wasn't COVID time, my kids' swimming lessons were right in the afternoon. So I would make their dinner at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I would put it in here, meatballs with tomato sauce, put the lid on, take it to swimming, and ready for later. So there's lots of things that you can use these things. So they're like a thermos. For those of you who are thinking, what on earth is she talking about? They're like a thermos. Keep things hot or cold for 2 hours or approximately 2 hours. It really depends what temperature it is you put in. If you put in something that's not piping hot, you're already going to lose some temperature. But the tip around keeping things hot is twofold. Number 1, preheat it. So this one here, I actually put a dribble, and it was only the tiniest amount. I don't know if you guys can see that, and I might spill it if I try, but I put the tiniest amount of boiling water in the bottom before, because the recipe actually says that it wants it to be a warmed thermoserver. That's so that when we put this milk mix in, it doesn't go and lose its 37-degree temperature, because we want it to hold its temp. If it's a chilled, you know how cold stainless gets? So if it was cold out of a drawer, it's going to lose the temperature to try and equalize it with what's inside. So it's a thermos, it's got an air pocket inside, and for that reason as well, we don't put it in an oven, we don't put it on a griller. Okay, leave the ant nest alone. We don't put it on a stovetop, it's no saucepan, alright? But it can go in a fridge, a freezer, a dishwasher. And I believe you can even steam, and I've not tried it, but you can put it in the Varoma, not to reheat food, but when you're making yogurt. So if you're making your whole 2 litres worth of yogurt, it can sit in the Varoma at the top, because that just incubates it at 37 degrees up there, and that's quite safe for the air inside there, okay? It just doesn't like, putting it in an oven, and that air inside can't escape in between the 2 layers. So these are worth their weight in gold. You want to have a full set of these with your Thermomixing when you can. They're not available, most of them, to purchase though, so then most of the time they're linked to a host reward. So if you don't, this month if you buy your Thermomix and you get 2 minis, then host a delivery demonstration with 2 friends to celebrate your Thermomix arriving, and we can get you the oval, the 2.5 litre oval, which is amazing for curry nights. You have your rice at one end, your curry at the other end, and we can have your 2.6 that comes in that same pack ready for your other things. So yesterday you would have seen me put the soup. Did I show you the soup section? No, maybe I didn't show you the finish. Yesterday, that lunch I did, it was amazing. It fed so much. It wasn't a meal for 2, that was like a meal for 4. So hubby and I have leftovers for today. And there was heaps of soup, and it went straight in the thermoserver so that it was ready for later. Because the last step on that recipe was to put it in the oven and brown off the top of the white sauce. How long we got? 3 minutes to go. So anyway, thermoservers, amazing. Get yourself some of these. Even if you don't have a Thermomix yet, start collecting them, because if for when you get one, you will want a thermoserver. So I know there's a whole lot of new people watching me today. I had a whole lot of people request to join the Facebook group last night, and I sent them here to the page and said, look, I broadcast on my page as well. So welcome to you guys. My name is Lisa, and I am a consultant and team leader in Brisbane. My passion is to make sure that when you get a Thermomix, you get the very most out of it. It's not something that just sits there in a risotto maker or a soup maker or a cheese grater, but it's so much more, that you continue to make new things like halloumi regularly. So that's my real passion and my heart and what I do. I'm a mum of 4 boys who keep me very busy. They're 8, 7, 5 and 4. I've been doing this business for 6.5 years. So I work it around my family. And that's what appeals to me the most, is the fact that I was a school teacher before I had kids, and I did school teaching with the intent of, once they go to school, hey Kelly, how are you? Then I can go back to work as well. But that's not where the journey took us. And so that's a bit of life about me. And I do homeschool my kids as well. If you're interested in becoming a consultant or learning more about that, please get in touch. I'd love to share my story with you and give you the information you need to decide if it's right for you. It really, while COVID's here and even going forward, this virtual world is something our business has very much embraced. And we're finding that more and more people want demos, because you don't have to organise your home now to have your friends over. You can just literally get onto Zoom, and the 2 friends hop on as well, and from their own homes, and I can show you what the Thermomix is all about and show them and inspire you. So if you already got one, learn more about your Thermomix as well. So it's so easy. Easier than ever before, because also if you've got friends or family across Australia, you can be showing them the Thermomix as well. So if you've got the time to do a demo or 2 a week, consider doing what I do. It is a game changer. I started with 2 kids, and I was actually doing it to escape my kids, don't tell them, because I needed something for me, and then found out I was pregnant with a 3rd and thought, I'll give it a crack, see what happens. This was back with the TM31. Then the TM5 came out, and all of a sudden I had a business again, and off I ran again with this business. And then I had the 4th, and that was always the plan, by the way. It wasn't like, oops. And it's just been something that's beautifully worked in with our life and our family. And I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything by doing this. I can do it with them as well. So that's why I do what I do, for those of you who are new and who haven't ever met me before. So, but if I can help you with your Thermomix, if there's a question, if there's a concern, if you're thinking, what does this mean? Just PM me. I'm more than happy to answer your questions and support you and help you, particularly if you've got no one else to ask. I would hate for you to have a Thermomix and not be getting the most out of it. So 34 seconds to go. It's on 37 degrees inside. Happy days. Now it's going to ask me, and I've been talking so much that I haven't dissolved my rennet tablets. I better get on to doing that, because I'm going to need that in the next step. So now it's going to add the junket, and it's going to combine for 1 minute on speed 1. And then we're putting it in our warmed thermoserver. So give me a second and I'll get this dissolved. And dingle, dingle, dingle. It's dissolving up in there. Last week I did a demo for Adelaide. So really the Thermomix is taking us all over Australia. I love meeting your friends and family no matter where they are. All right. Next, place the junket tablets and 1 tablespoon of water into a small bowl and dissolve. Now, the milk looks no different. There's no point me showing you that. It just looks like lukewarm milk, right? That's what it looks like, 37 degree milk. Add the junket mixture. I'm just making sure I've got most of that dissolved in there. Dingle, dingle, dingle. But this really is a business for anyone. So I've got consultants, halloumi today, Kelly, making halloumi. I've got consultants in my team who are retired or semi-retired, all the way to uni students. So it really is a business that anyone can pick up and run with. And you certainly don't have to be a woman to do so. There are men that do quite well in our business as well. All right, add the junket mix. Hopefully that was enough. It wasn't completely dissolved, but I'm not one for patience. And you'll learn that as you watch my videos. I'm very real. I will spill things, I will make a mess, and I will speed recipes up where I can, because when you've got 4 kids under your feet and typically asking where's the food, because the moment I turn on a Thermomix, that's what they think's happening. Mummy's making something to eat. Then you learn you just got to do things super quick. So you'll see in a lot of my videos the shortcuts I make on the recipes so that things can happen quicker, so that I can feed my family. Anyway, I will just give this the 40 seconds. Hi Fran, how are you today? And I'm going to then put it in this warm thermoserver. Now I did say earlier I put that boiling water in there, which is actually chilled a lot now. So excuse me for 2 seconds while I duck outside, because that boiling water has actually, it wasn't a huge amount and it was boiling, it was piping hot, but it actually has now taken on the chill from the stainless steel and actually gone cold. That was cold water, and I want this to be slightly warm. So excuse me for a second while I jump out and put a little bit more in. Alright, that's better. Now that's just your tip as well. If you want your dinner piping hot and you want it to last the length of time, maybe you do want it to last 2.5, 3 hours till you want to eat, boiling water in here, lid on, the lid that comes with it, and it'll just mean that it takes that chill out before you then tip the water out, put the food in, put the lid on. You can see the steam coming off that now. So that's what I wanted. But I was really surprised just then when I put my finger in it and it had gone cold. I know we've been talking for 10 minutes, but that's how cold stainless steel actually is. So I'm just giving that a swirl around. I'll just run it around the edges a bit without burning myself. Okay, so if I click on next, it says, excuse my hand, transfer milk into a warmed thermal serving bowl or a warm large ceramic bowl and cover and set aside for 1 hour. So I'm going to tip the water out of that. And here we go. So the junket should, rennet, sorry, I used, it should be through there okay. Let's see if I can do this without spilling it on my broadcast. So far, so good. There we go. So you can see here, this is a 2.2 litre thermoserver. So this is actually from our olden days of our TM 31 days. So I've used that one there instead of yours that are coming with the Thermomixes from last month. They have an extra 2 centimetres on the top, or 3 centimetres. Okay, I'm going to put the lid on that. I'll just put that on the bench before I do spill it. And when I get offline from you guys, I will find the lid to go on that. For the moment, I will just rest this on top. It's the same size as it to keep the flies off and the children from touching it, more so. But I will come back in an hour, because it says to set aside for the 1 hour, and I will show you the next step, which is actually really exciting. You get to slice open the top. It will have changed texture. Now slice it on the diagonals and let those curds fall apart. That will be a really quick broadcast, and then I'll come back later and show you the next steps. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. Get in touch if I can help with anything. If you'd like a demonstration, always happy to get online with you and a couple of friends and show you what the Thermomix is all about. Inspire you with your Thermomix if you've got one already as well. But have a fab day, and I look forward to answering your questions and talking to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, that was a really long hour, I know. I was going to come live probably about 45 minutes ago, but just had a very busy morning, as you do. So let me now show you the next step. And this is the beautiful thing about halloumi, you just come back when you're ready. So it said leave curds to sit in the thermoserver for 1 hour. Okay, and then when you come back, you need to cut your curds into strips 2 centimeters apart, both ways at 45-degree angles to make a diamond shape. So let me just swing you around to my thermoserver, see if I can get you in view. My little camera. Where are we looking? There's the lid. Perfect. All right. Sorry, my camera's not fab. They sent me the wrong one. And then by the time I figured it out, it was too late and they're all out of stock in Australia. Can you believe it? So, here's my curds in there. and you can see that it just looks like milk, right? So I'm going to now use I've got like an icing knife. You don't want to use anything sharp. You don't want to really mark the bottom of your thermoserver, so just be mindful of that. And then I should be able to carve it, and you can see there as I carve it, I'm hoping you can see how thick that is. So to me, it kind of resembles thickened milk. It's definitely holding my shape of my flat, it's not a knife, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely holding that. I can still, you'll see my knife lines on top. Can you guys see you guys can see just up the top corner there? The lines of my knife. And even there, you can see there, look at that. If I pull that off the side a little bit, you can see it kind of holds its shape. Now it's at 45 degrees like diamonds, so this will be 45 degrees. So I'm breaking up the curds into strips. Here we go. Now it tells me to leave it to sit for 10 minutes. And then I'll come back on in 10 minutes time. Let's make it 15 probably, maybe 20. You guys know me, I'm not very good at coming back online on time. But I'll come back then. So it tells me to do that. And then it says to allow sit for 10 minutes to develop the curds and the whey. And then we're going to place the curds and the whey back into the Thermomix. So once it's had a sit, we're going to put it back in the Thermomix, and we're reheating it back to 37 degrees so the cultures can continue to form. From there, we're going to strain it. So I will be back in 10 minutes to put it in the Thermomix. It'll be a very gluggy, messy liquid at that stage. Let's see how much mess I make trying to get it back in the Thermomix. But I'll see you guys in 10 minutes to show you that. I hope you're having a great one. I've just put on pumpkin soup outside for lunch. Those of you who've tried the pumpkin soup, you know it's got a carrot in it. My secret ingredient for the pumpkin soup is #1, your veggie stock, but that's in your recipe. But your second thing I'd say, really encourage you to add into it is some cumin. It is amazing with about half a teaspoon, a little bit more maybe, of cumin. And if you like ginger, add some ginger as well. Makes it a really nice soup. Anyway, hope you're having a fab day. Get in touch if I can help in any way. And I will share some more halloumi tips with you in 10 minutes time. Bye. Okay guys, we're on with part 3. So I'm up to here. We've just let it sit for 10 minutes in the thermoserver. So you saw me earlier. For those of you who haven't seen the process so far, the first process was that we heated some milk up to 37 degrees. Then it told us to put in a 3 junket tablets, I think it was. I had rennet, so I put in 1. It had to be dissolved in some water first, and then you put it into your milk. Then from there, it then stirred it through for 1 minute, and then it went into a thermoserver to sit for 1 hour. Mine was like an hour and a half. Life's been busy today. It's Friday, and it's just family of life of 6. Like, that's just my life. It gets busy and things get forgotten, which is why I love a Thermomix, because I can remember before I even had children trying to cook dinner on a stovetop, and I would regularly burn it just because life is busy. My attention span is so short that I would leave things and they burn over, boil over, burn to the bottom, boil dry, all that sort of stuff. So that's what I love about the Thermomix, is it's really generous. It gives us back the time. So what was I up to? So then I let it sit. I came back on really quickly before and I showed you carving the top. So the next step said to then open it back up, carve into the top diamond shapes. Okay, so a bit like cutting a pizza one way, 45 degrees the other way in 2 centimeters. And I probably did a bit closer than 2 centimeters. And then it said let it sit for 10 minutes in the thermoserver to let the curds and whey settle. To develop, it's called, whatever developing means. Anyway, so we're up to that step. The next step now is to put it back into the curds and whey, back into the Thermomix, and put the lid on. Now I have to get it I have to get 2 litres out of my 2.2 litre, my old-fashioned thermoserver that was from my TM31 days. Look at this. Ooh. And I don't know if you can see, but I can still see. I'll see if I can get close enough to see the cut lines in the top. I can see there's cut lines in the top. Now, this is going to be terrible if I tried to pour it, so you'll be pleased to know that I'm not going to try and pour it. Say hi if you're on today. I'd love to know you're watching, and if you're new to my page, welcome. I did do a little intro earlier, so you can see there. Let me just get closer. It's scooping a lot. I guess you could nearly call it like yogurt. Can you guys see that? Like, you can see my cut lines in it. So I'm going to scoop a fair bit of this out before I try and pour it in, because it's just going to be disastrous if I try and pour that in. It'll make the biggest mess. Now I don't want to clean up my thermoserver. It's going to mix this back at 37 degrees. It's going to bring that temperature back up to the cultures starting to move again and do their thing. And then we're going to strain it. So that's going to be exciting. But I just want to get a fair chunk of this out so that I don't make a mess on my broadcast, which, you know, you guys have seen me. I'm pretty good at making a mess. All right, so I might just try and pour it now. Wish me luck, guys. Oh, that wasn't too bad. How terrible did that sound, though? Okay, a bit on my hand, a little bit up the back, but no major catastrophe. I'm not going to scrape that out. I'm actually going to leave that sit because that becomes, lucky I have a lot of towels, close on hand for whenever required. So now, lid goes on, but we're going to use that thermoserver. That's what I was saying. Don't wash your thermoserver because you're going to use it. Lid goes on, 30 minutes, 37 degrees, slow stir. So it's just going to force those cultures to culture further. And then the next step is the straining step, which I'm super excited to show you guys. This is where the curds and whey come apart. And we're going to make our halloumi from that. So I'll love you and leave you. I will see you in over half an hour sometime to show you the next step. I hope you're enjoying. I hope I'm inspiring you to give halloumi a little go. It is a labour of love. There's lots of little steps along the way, but there's lots of time when I'm not even in the kitchen. I do not have to babysit this, which is the perk of having a Thermomix, is the fact that you can walk away and know that your dinner or cheese is going to be done for you. So give us a shout if you need anything. If you've got any questions, have a check out of the other videos that you've seen that I've put up this morning. But I'm so excited to see the final product of this later on today and show you guys what that looks like. So see you later on. Bye. How you going, everybody? Part 4. We're nearly at the end of actually making our halloumi portion. So we're about to separate the curds and the whey. So this is now cooked off at 37 degrees on a slow stir. I love how easy the Thermomix makes this. Can you imagine without a Thermomix how tedious this would be? I just have to come back when it sings at me to do the next step. And this isn't an easy recipe in the sense that there's lots of time coming back, but it is an easy recipe because it just tells you what to do one step at a time. So if you can read a screen, you can make this happen. So how cool is that? So now it says transfer curds and whey into a lined simmering basket. Let me see if I can show you what this looks like first. I don't know how easily you can see that. The light's a bit bright, but we've got a real separation, I guess you could call it, between the liquids in there and the solids, the curds and the whey. So now what we do, I want to show you some tips and tricks for dividing things up. So if you're doing ricotta or if you're doing butter, how simple that can be. So simmering basket from earlier, I put the lid on just to keep the flies away. What we now do is we grab the lid of our Thermomix, take the measuring cup out. This is going to be your funnel. It's the most amazing funnel. We sit that on top of our thermoserver. Now you should be able to see this in your camera. We're now going to place on top of that my simmering basket. I'll just move my lid out the way with my nut milk bag. Now, if you don't own a nut milk bag, an old t-shirt will be good. The squeaky taste, Shannon, I'm with you on that. A nut milk bag from the Mix-It shop. Otherwise, you can use some chucks that are nice and clean, washed or boiled, that sort of thing. So anything like that will do. Yeah, there's something special about the squeaky taste of halloumi and that feel from being able to fry it off and have it with some breakfast, with some eggs and stuff. Maybe that'll be my Mother's Day breakfast tomorrow. Not tomorrow, day after, whatever day it is. Still don't know what day it is. Okay, so transfer the curds. So I'm going to now just pour this straight in. I'm not going to go too fast because otherwise I will make it max its capacity out. Excuse the fact that you can't see the front of what I'm doing. I'm right-handed, so I'm probably the wrong way around. It's straining through, you can probably hear it. Just let it strain down a bit. And all the big chunky bits just splattered me. Do you see that? But you can hear it trickling through into the thermoserver below. Now, I haven't finished, by the way. I just thought I'd try and pick this up and show you what this looks like and maybe speed up that process. But you can see already I've got all these lovely curds in the bottom. Just split that back up. some more in. Now the whey can be kept and it lasts for months, so don't throw out your whey. It can actually be reused. There are other cheeses you can make with it. It doesn't tend to yield much when you try and reuse it because it's already taken those curds out, so it doesn't leave much fat left to make curds. But otherwise, use it in your bread, use it in scones, use it in the place of buttermilk. Hubby used ours from our ricotta the other week to make a vanilla slice and use it in both the puff pastry and in the custard, and it was perfect. So you've got that as well. Just straining this out. There's a lot of curds. There's actually way more curds in this than I expected there to be, because I know when I make it with ricotta, for 1.8 litres of milk, we tend to end up with about 350 grams of the ricotta left. So I'm actually really surprised. This is pretty full in my basket here. It's significantly full. And I know it was a little bit more. It's 200 mils more milk I used, but I seem to be yielding quite a substantial amount of, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's really quite a decent amount of halloumi, which I'm quite surprised about. I'll weigh it at the end once it's all drained, and I'll let you guys know, if hopefully I remember, what that weight is, because it seems really quite good. Now what we do once I finally get all this in, there we go. Nearly done. There's the last. Look at the chunky bits in the bottom. Yum. Okay. This is worth the labour of love, okay? Give it a go. Alright. It is an added bonus. Who doesn't want more halloumi, Shannon? Especially when the price to make this halloumi is significantly less than it is to buy it in the supermarket. So I bought... This was not fancy milk. We didn't have any fancy milk left at my local IGA down the road the other night. So it was just the home brand milk, I guess you could call it. So there's nothing fancy about this milk. And it's yielded a decent amount of stuff, which I'm super excited about. Now don't clean this out yet. We're actually going to put the whey back in here, and it's going to then create the brine that our halloumi will then sit in overnight. So we don't need to wash that out. Let me just show you how full, well, you can actually see, look how full that simmering basket is. So what it now says to do, cover the curds and whey with the top of your nut milk bag or excess cloth, and then place a heavy weight on top. So let me just, there's still a lot of liquid in this, but I want something weighted on top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a twist. You guys can see what I'm doing there. And this will help push the liquid out a bit faster. You can hear it trickling out. And what I'm going to use, and I mentioned this earlier, I alluded to it earlier, the awesome minis that are on offer when you purchase a Thermomix this month are amazing for this job. I'm going to put it on the top. It's still actually got that boiling water from earlier, which is no longer hot, right? But remember how I had the boiling water to preheat the big thermoserver? It's actually got that in there. And it says to put a weight on top and weigh it down to get rid of the liquid. I'm actually in shock about how much quantity. I'm sure when we used to make it, it was a nice amount, but this is this much of my simmering basket in halloumi. I'm excited. This is massive. So just giving that a shove down, because it says place a heavy weight on top of the curds and whey. Set aside for 30 minutes, allowing the whey to drain. Do not discard the whey. Set the simmering basket, I'm just giving it a good shove down, just trying to get rid of that liquid out. Set the simmering basket aside, place the whey. So I'm just going to give this a really good shove. And then I'm actually going to just do a bit of a transfer here, somewhere back here. It's my cup from earlier. This was the cup I used to dissolve that rennet tablet. So I'm just going to ditch the water out of that. And it says to weigh it down, but I just want to get started on the next step so I can take you on a bit more of that journey here and now. So what I'm going to do is, because I need some whey back in the Thermomix, grab my little mini. I'll have to do this up here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Which way? This way. Now I'll lift this up because it's still dripping. Can you see the drips out of it? And I'm going to do that. So now, for the moment, it's dripping into there, which is awesome. That means I can get to my whey. So I'm just putting that aside. Place the whey into the Thermomix. So I'll just pour this back in. And now we're making the brine. think that's my next step. Now it says 5 minutes, 90 degrees, speed 1. Now, I'm just grabbing a spare lid out because my other lid's still draining. So that's just something to remember, that if you don't have a spare Thermomix, you'll just have to make sure you grab your lid out of your container there that's draining your whey. 5 minutes, 90 degrees, speed 1. And now let me just have a look at what my last step is, because I think the next step is it's going to ask me to add salt to this liquid. I love being able to go to my full view and find out what step I'm up to, or start at that step. Okay. So now what it's asking me to do. Okay. So then what I have to do is I have to then cut the curds, and I'm going to put them back in here, and it's going to cook those curds in that way, which is actually, I think, what creates the squeakiness and the tension in there, is that actual cooking off process. So it's going to cook it for 30 minutes at 90 degrees, slow stir. And then we're going to, I've missed a step. Sorry, guys. No, that's correct. So this simmering basket goes, you slice it up, it goes back in, it then gets cooked for 30 minutes on 90 degrees, and then we remove it, and then we put some salt and some water into the jug, and we make our brine. So I will come back on, I'll show you that step. I've probably made it sound really complex. I promise you, just follow the thing on the screen. It tells you what to do. So I will pop back in 5 minutes, and I'll show you where we're up to on this step, because I won't keep you for 5 minutes. It's been quite a process today. I hope at the end I can plug all the videos together, so those of you who want to make halloumi, you can follow along with the video if that makes it easiest for you. Anyway, have a fab day. Give us a shout if you need anything, but I'll be back here in 5 minutes if you've got any questions about your Thermomix. Bye! Okay guys, so my halloumi liquid has actually heated up to 90 degrees, and it's ready for the next step. So this is my whey inside. We've got our halloumi nice and drained at the back. I'll show you that in a second. And now it tells us to remove the curds, which are in my nut bag from earlier, my nut milk bag. And it's telling me to remove them. Oh, flicking liquid everywhere. Here I am. Hang on. I'm just going to put it on top of my simmering, my thermoserver lid. Look at those beautiful curds. Can you see how big that is? Totally impressed with that. I'm so excited to see how this goes. I'm actually really excited to see if I can cut this, or if I need to let it drain for longer. I'm fairly certain this has made more curds than any of my other batches ever have. This is quite cool how much it's made, but I might just give it a big push out one more time. It doesn't say that you need to use a huge amount of pressure, which I feel like I'm using, but I feel like it's also retained more liquid than any of my other batches ever have. So I'll just give this a shove out and see if that'll help. Because what I need to now do is I need to remove it from the nut milk bag, and I need it to stay in its form, because I'm going to cut it into the strips. So you know how halloumi, you eat it in strips? That's what we're doing now. We're cooking it off. So this is what makes it squeaky. This is the squeaky step. So, sorry you can't see what I'm doing right now. I will lift it up in a second to show you. And I'm just peeling back. Here we go. Here we go. Around the camera wires. Just peeling back the nut milk bag all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to get this out, and I'm going to slice it. My plan was to try and slice it up here so you guys can actually see. Excuse the hand in the way. So you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I'm actually just going to slice it really gently on my nut milk bag, because what it's telling me to do is cut my curds into slices 1 centimetre thick, and then place the curd pieces back into the simmering basket, which I've got up the back here. Then it says to insert the simmering basket with the curds and put the lid on. So let me slice this up into my 1 centimetre lengths. Yes, it's coming apart beautifully. Let me show you. This is obviously the end one. Oh, so I'm getting it caught in the nut milk bag. You can see there, there's my slice, in it goes. I just want to make sure that it's set enough, or if it might need to sit here longer, to retain the slices that I'm cutting. If it crumbles apart too much, it's not going to be very good on a barbecue, is it? So it's more my nut milk bag that's causing issues down here, because I haven't flipped it out of the nut milk bag yet. Here you go, look, you can see my lovely, you might not be able to see, I think it's going to break if I hold it much longer. It's a very long strip. I might actually cut it in half. And then I'll do it this way. There we go. That's a better size to handle. So that's what we want. Okay, just dropped a bit. So 1 centimetre strips. And at the moment, it certainly doesn't feel squeaky. So you know how halloumi has that squeakiness to it? It certainly doesn't feel squeaky yet. It kind of resembles, I guess, like an overcooked ricotta. So just slice this up gently and in it goes. So this water's up to 90 degrees, not the water, the leftover whey, sorry, because it actually wants to now cook off. And if it went into cold water, I think it would dissolve this beautiful halloumi, or at least would make a very big mushy mess of it. Just getting that last little bit out the corner, there it is. So slice this up, in it goes. The bits that are a bit crumbly is actually more my bag underneath wasn't completely smooth. So, also could be the knife handling skills I got going here too. Not very good at knife handling or patience. So I'm just laying those all in the bottom. I reckon if you wanted to be really clever, and I think we've done it once before, we've actually laid this into a square container. So instead of using the simmering basket, I used a square container and put it in and pushed the liquid out that way. So that works well as well. So, simmering basket. Excuse the fingers, in it goes. On with the lid. Now it's going to cook 30 minutes, 90 degrees. Speed half, so it's just slowly stirring in there. There we go. And then after that, we will come back, we will put some water in the machine. We'll take everything out. We'll put water in there, we will put some salt in there, and we will make a brine that then our halloumi will go in, and then it'll end up in the fridge in a jar. So I will come back, show you step number 6. I think that's it after that. So I hope you've enjoyed these today. I hope you're finding benefit seeing these different processes. I think sometimes once you see someone do it, it becomes something that's achievable and easy. And until you've seen someone do it, it's like, oh, it's so hard. I'd like it to do it, but it can seem a bit overwhelming or daunting. So I hope you can see today how I've broken it down into each step for you. I've come back to show you, and in between I've got 30 minutes now to do everything and anything else I want. So I don't have to tend to my kitchen, which is the most important part about the Thermomix I love the most, is that it's that hands-free cooking. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to go do other stuff, because that's what I can when I've got a Thermomix. Give us a shout if you need anything. If I can help you in any way, I'm here to support you. And otherwise, I'll see you in half an hour when we finish this recipe off. See you soon. Hey guys, how are you? So, final episode of halloumi. It's been lots of fun to do this today for you guys. Not something I would definitely do every day, although we used to, when we were having more dairy in our life, do it more regularly. But it's lots of fun to try something new and feel like you've accomplished something at the end, right? So that's what it's all about today. So I've got 1 minute and 10 left on the clock. I really wish it would hurry up. It was only, I think, a 30-minute cook time. I keep peeking at it to see if it's doing anything. And it is. It's cooking that halloumi. It's making it that squeaky sound that halloumi does, right? So that's what's happening in there at the moment. I am probably going to cut it short, because what I want to do, so 4:30 is my usual go live time for my afternoon. You guys have had lots of little snippets through today, but 4:30 is my go live for my dinner time. And today I'm doing a whole roast chook in the Varoma on top of the Thermomix. So I need to get this done, because that's in 15 minutes. Give us a little thumbs up if you've ever done a whole chook in your Varoma, because it is amazing. It is the most tender, fall off the bone meat you've ever tried. I know once I overcooked it just a little bit, and the great thing about a Thermomix is overcooking's no big deal, because all it does, because you're cooking with steam, it doesn't dry it out. But all it did was meant that when I picked up the drumstick, the actual bone came completely out of the chook. So overcooking with a Thermomix doesn't matter, because it actually makes things more tender and more soft, because you're cooking with steam, not cooking with a dry heat that dries things out. So you'll never end up with a really dry chicken breast and things like that. So I'm in a hurry to get this finished now, because I want to do dinner. So, And chicken, doing a whole chook is one of my kids' most favourite things to have out of a Thermomix. Remove the simmering basket with the aid of the spatula. So let me just show you. We get this awesome spatula with a TM6 that's actually flexi. So all you people out there with TM5s and 31s that don't have a flexi one, you can buy it in the mix shop. It's amazing. You do want to follow the blades behind though, so you don't chop it up on the way. Now it says remove the simmering basket with the aid of the spatula and allow it to cool. So let me just show you what that looks like. Actually, you may not be able to see. I might need to bring it closer. I'll just let it drain for a minute. Now you can also drain it. Can you still do it this way? No, it doesn't work. You need the lid closed. Let me just show you. Oh, I don't want to drain it again. I was going to show you a tip, but I'll have to wait for another day. Lucky I do these every day, so your chances are you'll see my tip at some stage. But when the lid's closed, the little thing here on the front is great for actually draining itself, self-draining. What I'm going to do just to shortcut this is I'm actually going to lift out my little panels of cheese, which have completely changed texture. They are now very much that rubbery. Let me grab one. They've got that rubberness to them. Can you see that rubberiness of them? I've got 2 jars here in front. That's why I've pushed my Thermomix back so far today. So I am sorry if you can't see very well what was happening in my Thermomix. That's so that you can see what's happening on my bench. My computer's not very good. I've actually got a computer up there that doesn't like the screen dropping down low. So that's why it's all up like that. I'm working on fixing that though. So that will only get better with time. All right, I'm going to put this in my jar. I'm just pulling apart the pieces on the way through. It does say to let it cool. It probably would be more rubbery if I let it cool, but I don't have time for that. So basket aside, by the way, that's how your basket works. For those of you who didn't know, that's how baskets work. And then it says remove the simmering basket with the aid of the spatula, set aside to cool. Transfer the whey into a jug and set aside. So I've still got the very same thermo server up the back that I used this morning to slice that up at 11 o'clock or just after 11. So I've still got that same thermo server and I've just got the whey here. So I'm just going to tip the whey out because now we're making our brine. So the brine for the halloumi to soak in. Look, bowl's pretty sparkly. All right, 250 grams of filtered water. You can see the lights on the machine are gone red. That tells me this bowl is still over 60 degrees. So 250 grams, which is actually a cup, or 280 today because I'm heavy-handed. That's all right. Sorry, I'm reaching over that screen again. 20 grams of non-iodized salt. Now, I've only got Himalayan salt, and it will do. It just won't dissolve as well. I find Himalayan kind of makes everything go pink. How am I backwards? Oh well, there we go. Not sure what I started on, so I'm just guesstimating. So yes, there's my salt. On with my lid and my measuring cup, and now it's going to dissolve that salt for 3 minutes. And you can see inside, because that bowl's still hot, the water's straight away increased up to 55 degrees. I love with the Thermomix that you can figure out what temperature your bowl is at any point in time. So if you've had your dinner made at say 4 o'clock and you just let it sit in the Thermomix because you got distracted out down the street with the neighbours, or you went dashed to the shops to grab something, it doesn't matter because when you come back and you turn your machine on, it will actually say, do you want to continue your recipe where you're up to? Yes or no, with the guided recipes. Or if your recipe is complete, it'll actually tell you what temperature the bowl's at. So you know whether you can straight away hoe into it without burning your tongue, or if you need to reheat it again. So that's the beautiful thing about Thermomix. It's always spot on with temperature, telling you where the bowl is at. And you'll never burn your kids' tongue giving them a hot soup or hot custard. Custard's one of those things. My kids know, don't talk to mummy about the custard until the Thermomix lights are green, which means it's under 60 degrees and it won't burn their tongue. So pretty handy tip. So anyway, I'd love to know in the comments, what have you been making today? So you guys have seen a lot of my halloumi today. I also made a pumpkin soup at lunchtime. I whipped that up. It only takes 15 minutes to whip up a pumpkin soup. My 9-year-old made a quiche for lunch. He made a zucchini, actually it was a zucchini slice today. So he did that all on his own at lunchtime, which was amazing. And we also had leftovers of yesterday's, my husband and I did for lunch today. So that was the all-in-one meal. It's a recipe that's called 3-course meal for 2, I think it's called. You'll have to take off your filters. Go find the video from yesterday. And that actually made more than just 2 serves. It was amazing. So that's what we've done today. Tomorrow, I have the cook along at 10 o'clock. So for those of you who are my customers in my customer group, we've got that cook along tomorrow. We are making a beautiful rolled sponge for Mother's Day. So I'm excited to show you those skills that it takes to make that, and you will be doing that with me, so that's super exciting. And then we're making a beautiful quiche as well. So really setting ourselves up for Mother's Day, or it might just be that evening or afternoon for afternoon tea. That's also okay. But my goal is really to help you get the most out of your Thermomix. So I don't know about you, but I've only ever watched people make rolled sponges until I did a practice run the other day for you guys. I was like, this is amazing. And that's what I'm really excited about, is making sure you get the most out of your Thermomix. You no longer go and buy a rolled sponge from Woolworths with all the colours, preservatives and additives, but instead you give it a go yourself. And once you've done it once, and I think it's 3 ingredients, like it's so simple. So once you've made it once, you'll just be able to have that in your tricks of the trade, so that if someone's come over for morning tea, right, I can whip up a rolled sponge. So easy. So super excited to share that with a whole group of you tomorrow morning. So that's not on Facebook. Tomorrow and Sunday I tend only to broadcast to Facebook impromptu. Don't like to be too structured on the weekend, so I'm not sure what times. I will probably at some stage though turn the Thermomix on and turn the camera on and go, hi guys, but it's very much a bit impromptu on the weekends. But come Monday I'll be back at 11 and then 4:30, so keep an eye out and feel free to continue to ask your questions. I love hearing from you guys. Love hearing about what you're making. Love hearing about what your challenges are. That's part of my job, is to support you to make sure you are using it. If you're still using your stovetop and you've got a Thermomix, talk to me. Let's get you inspired. So now we add 250 grams of the reserved whey. Now I actually have a little container here. Remember how after I tipped the whey back into the Thermomix, I still had the other stuff draining, and I put this underneath. So I'm going to use this. And it just looks like a pink liquid in there at the moment. Oh, they didn't give me a scale. Okay, we're guesstimating. We're going to put all of that in. So what I should have done, had I paid more attention to the screen, is actually brought up the scales. See how I've got my scale function? And I could have brought that up, but I was too busy talking. That happens. On with the lid of the measuring cup. 5 minutes, 100 degrees. It's just combining that whey and the water and the salt to be our brine. And then we're going to pour it into our jars. And I actually thought I was going to fill both jars, but I don't need to. So I'll just put this one in the other jar. So excited about my squeaky cheese. This is going to be yummy on Mother's Day. One of the things we've been whipping up a fair bit on the weekends lately have been frying off a couple of mushrooms. There's a beautiful beetroot relish I did as Facebook Live the other week for you guys. There's a little bit of that left. There's a beautiful avocado dressing that's on cookie dough. I'll have to find the recipe and post it for you guys. And some halloumi and a poached egg. Has anyone tried poaching their eggs on a Thermomix? Amazing. So they're the sorts of things we've been having for lunches lately, with a bit of spinach and things like that. So especially on the weekends, more so when hubby's around as well. So that's what we'll be doing over the weekend with this halloumi, is enjoying some beautiful gourmet lunches. When you actually, normally I would have gone potentially out to a cafe and spent $20 on something like that. But I can put it together with the things I've got in my house and save myself so much money, and I know exactly what's in it, which I love as well. So here we go. Let's see, 3 minutes to go. And then I'm getting onto Facebook in 5 more minutes to do my chicken. I'll have to get my chicken out of the fridge. Thankfully, I'm putting onto it today a peri-peri spice mix, so it's already made up, and some oil. And that's as simple as it is to get this chicken prepped. So even if you are time poor, or you've got little people under your feet who are keeping you, your hands busy because they're whinging all the time and wanting mummy's love or daddy's love, then the Thermomix makes this so easy. So come on, Thermomix, heat up. By the way, the TM6 actually heats a lot quicker than our 5 and our 31 does. So the heating element is hotter, and it actually therefore gets to the boil a lot quicker. So into our functions, we actually have a kettle feature over the far side here. So I'm not sure if you can see, and my camera down there is not too great at the moment. So the kettle feature allows me to boil water in my Thermomix, so that I can, if I want to boil to a certain temperature or reheat, I can. So that's what that is for. Let's go back here. 90 degrees, we're nearly there. I think I might go. I won't hold you guys any longer. I'm very mindful of time and the fact that I need to get this chicken on at the moment, as much as I want to hang around and keep talking to you guys and show you what I do next, which is really simple. The next step, and I'll just pull up my recipe details. the next step is to just double check. Transfer the cooled halloumi into here and the cooled brine into the sealable container and place in the refrigerator until ready to serve. I'm not going to let the halloumi or the brine cool. Don't know if that'll affect it. I'm fairly certain I haven't in the past. Let it cool because I'm not that sort of person to wait for that. Hi Gail, how are you? So I'm just going to put the brine straight out of the Thermomix, put the lid on, put it in the fridge. And it is better tomorrow. So this is actually something you wouldn't want to eat straight away. It needs to sit in that brine and go squeaky. All right. So I'm going to love yous and leave yous because I'll be back on here in 5 minutes to do the chicken dinner for us. So see you for today. I hope you've enjoyed the halloumi. It's been lots of fun. It's so nice to do something that's just a bit different out of your comfort zone. So have a great afternoon and I'll see you online hopefully in 5 minutes for chicken. Bye.